We are friendly, CLI friendly. And for those of you who have been following Cup of Linux for the past few years, it's time for you to get rid of those training wheels, because today we're gonna use Linux the Arch way. Yeah! I've been meaning to do something like this for a long time, and it's just something that never came to fruition. And I figured, why not? It'll be fun for us to transform Manjaro into Arch Linux. In the past episodes of CLI Friendly, you've acquired enough skills to where you should be comfortable enough with working in a terminal. And when you open up wiki.archlinux.org, you have a whole plethora of documentation which will guide you through the installation process and takes you through step by step through every feature that Arch Linux has to offer. Upon successfully installing Arch Linux on your computer, a whole new world will open up to you, because you will have a better understanding of what makes Linux tick, because you're going to be not only, installing a base system, but you're also going to go through the process of setting up every individual component to your liking. You will install only what you want, nothing more, nothing less. Unlike other distributions out there that you may download and try, Manjaro is an excellent example. They give you a full, complete operating system, but it has a lot of applications that are bundled into that software that you may not necessarily want. Whereas with Arch Linux, you're pretty much building this from the ground up. And we're not going to do any mamby-pamby little scripts to install this. We're going to do it the Arch way. And so roll up your sleeves, get your toxic Kool-Aid, because we are going to rock today. All right, so let's go ahead and get the ball rolling on this. The first thing I'm going to need to do is I'm going to need to log in. Now, you all know that I am using a virtual machine to do these demonstrations, but the procedure for installing Arch Linux is almost identical. So yeah, it shouldn't be that difficult for the most part, although you may need to be sure that you read the wiki if you have some special kind of network hardware or something like that that the ISO isn't able to detect and set up a driver for. Just some things to keep in mind, but everything is covered on the Arch wiki to guide you through the entire process. So to begin our little adventure, we are logged into Manjaro Linux, and what we're going to do is we're going to put Arch Linux on a USB stick. So let's use wget, and then we're going to put in the URL for a ISO image. Now, there are many different mirrors, and so you're going to need to visit the wiki.archlinux.org linked below, and you're going to have to look for that. Because, I could probably have 50 links before I'm done here pointing to different things. It's better that you learn how to use the search features they have available, because everything you need is right there. Okay, so okay, I typed it in correctly on the first try, and you can see I'm getting between 20 and 21 megabytes a second to download the ISO. And then once that is completed, they have MD5 sums with these ISO images on the mirror that you're downloading from. And so you make sure that you copy down that MD5 sum, because you're going to do a hash check once that is completed. And the way that is done is we're going to run MD5 sum. Okay, and then I'm just going to put in, so I don't have to type in the whole name, star.iso. Okay, And what it's going to do is it's going to print out this number 81646677750C46C F297720B 21145E1 E27. Okay, and if I look at the number on this side, 81644677750C46C F2922720B21145E1 E27. Close enough. Yeah, it looks like they are they match. So we've got a good ISO here. All right, so now I have a USB drive plugged in, so let's identify where it is by running list block, lsblk. Okay, and you will see here that it is not mounted. Okay, well, I can fix that. Let's try that again. Helps to plug it in. All right, and now you're going to see I have SDA and SDB. Okay, so at this point, what I'm going to do is I'm going to run sudo because I want to write this image to the USB stick. So I'm going to use dd. If arch Linux TAC 2019, and then I'm just going to press tab, and it completes the rest of the things so I don't have to type it all in. And then of /dev/SDB. And then I want to see progress of what it's doing as it's writing. So I'm just going to run status equals progress. Okay, this is how I personally use dd. Yes, if you read the Arch Wiki, there are other commands that you can pass on to it, but this is what I prefer, and this is what works best for me, so that's what I'm showing you. Okay, I see where I made a mistake. I need to always double check and make sure that I type in everything correctly here or I'm going to get in errors. dd if equals arch Linux ISO of equals /dev/SDB status equals progress. Okay, and as you can see, it's now writing this data to the USB stick. And once that is completed, I'm going to go ahead and reboot the machine with the USB stick inserted. Now, this is the procedure if you were to do this on a real computer. Because I'm doing this in a virtual appliance, it is not as easy to boot from a USB unless you're using Plop Linux or you go through a special process of mounting the USB stick. So in that case, you usually just want to mount the ISO instead. But for all intents and purposes, this is a demonstration for those of you who may be trying to set this up for install on bare metal hardware. So once this is completed, I'm going to go ahead and reboot the computer. So let me pause the video while this happens. Okay, our USB stick has finished writing. And then at that point, you will want to make sure that when you go into BIOS or EFI or whatever it is you're using, make sure that you have your computer set so that you can boot from your USB stick. Okay. I'm booted, and as you can see, I'm presented with this nice Arch Linux screen. And we're just going to go with the first choice. We're going to boot Arch Linux. And then once this is finished booting, we will be at the root prompt. And from here, we'll go ahead and start, we'll make sure that our internet is connected, and then we'll start making preparations, okay? So to prepare to make sure the internet's working, why don't we ping a website? We can ping www.cupoflinux.com. Okay, and as you can see, my website is up and running and the ping is working. So we'll just Control-C here to get out of that prompt. And then let's have a look and see what our drive partitions look like. We do this by running fdisk. fdisk -L for list. Okay? And remember, as I've said in previous command line friendly episodes, you can run man against these, like man fdisk. Okay, and you will have a manual that gives you instructions on using this. And it's the same for cfdisk that we're using as well. Okay, so I'm going to just press Q to quit. Let me clear. All right, and then let's go ahead and run cfdisk. You're going to see that I have two partitions here, and what I think I want to do is delete these. So to select a partition, the up and down keys select up and down, and then the left and right keys select the choices on the bottom. Okay, so I'm going to delete these partitions, and you will see that as I do that, it is converted into free space. And then at this point, I'm going to create a new partition. All right, and I want this to be 16 gigs since my test machine is 20. So 16 with a capital G for gigs. And we're going to press enter. We want that to be a primary partition, and then I want to flag that as bootable. So with bootable selected, I will press enter, and you will see here at the top that there is a star next to boot. Okay, then we're going to select the free space again and make sure that new is selected here. I'm going to press enter. That partition is going to be 4 gigs. It's already selected for me. Great, that's a primary partition. But I'm going to change its type by selecting type, and I'm going to select number 82, Linux swap. Okay, so with that being done, we have that selected. Now we go to write. Press enter with write selected, and then type in yes. You must type in the full word. All right, and then it says the partition table has been altered. Then at this point, we can quit. Okay? All right, now that we have our partitions set up how we want them, now we need to make file systems for them. So first, let's make fs.ext4, okay, /dev/sda1, because that is the one that we chose as our boot partition. So with that being done, I'm going to press enter, and it's going to ask us if we want to proceed anyway. Just press yes, and then press enter. Okay, and then once that is completed, next we need to make swap. And we're going to do that to /dev/sda2, which is our swap partition that we have defined. And then that has already been fixed. And then what we need to do is turn the swap on. /dev/sda2, and I need to double check as I'm going here because I am very good at doing typographical errors, and I'm sure I'm going to do tons of them in this video. So hold your laughing until the boo-boos come. Okay, now we're getting ready to mount the file system here. So what we first need to do is mount /dev/sda1 to /mount, okay, or /mnt. Okay, now if you've ever cherooted in your system to fix maybe grub because it didn't boot anymore, or if you had something happen to where you had to make an itscpio, you would do the same process. So if you're familiar with cherooting, this should already be familiar to you. All right, so we've done that, and then next we're going to run packstrap, okay, into the mount directory. All right, and we want the base and the base devel package sets. Okay, and now it's going to synchronize and pull in all those packages. This process, depending on the speed of your computer, is going to... Oh, I did something bad, didn't I? That's what I get for thinking out loud. Let me do that over again. Okay, so pack/mnt base space base devel. I typed in and. Okay, so depending on the speed of your internet and your computer, this could take about 5-10 minutes to do. Actually, I didn't time this before, so yeah. But at any rate, what I'm going to go ahead and do is pause the video. After that has completed, then we will proceed to the next steps. Say, TotalOS Today, if you're watching, I hope you're paying very, very close attention, because I have a special quiz for you later on. You need to get rid of your training wheels too, buddy. Okay, the files have been installed, and let's go ahead and do the next step, where we are going to generate fstab. Okay, that is genfstab /mnt. Okay, and then two right arrows, and then /mnt /etc/fstab. Okay, now that that has been done, we can chroot into the system. Okay, and we will use arch chroot for that. Okay, and then we will go into /mnt using bin/bash. Okay, you're going to see that our prompt has now changed. That means we are now working inside the system that we have just installed. And from within this area, we can do a number of things with this. The first thing we're going to probably want to do is assign our language preferences. The command is nano/etc/locale.gen. Okay, and then at this point, we're going to find our language preference, and we're going to uncomment that out. And in my case, let me go down a little bit further so you can see it better. It's this one here, English, US, UTF-8, UTF-8. So we're going to uncomment that out by removing the pound symbol from in front of it. And then we can press Control X, or we can press Control O to write out. Okay, and then press Enter. Control X, and then we're out of there. Okay, and then after we have done that, then we need to initiate the locale generation with locale-gen. Okay, and you can see that it has done that. And then finally, to finish this off, we need to, let me go ahead and clear. Okay, let's go to echo. And we always use quotation marks whenever we echo something. Capital LANG equals EN underscore US dot capital UTF hyphen 8 end quotation, right arrow, and then /etc/locale.conf. And let me just double check that and make sure that I've done it correctly. Okay, echo, the lang in capital letters, EN underscore US UTF-8. Okay, that looks good to me. All right, good. And then next, what we need to do is set up our time zone information. Okay, and you can find out that by using the list command, ls, and we can do /user/share/zoneinfo. Okay, and this gives you all of the countries. Okay, and in my case, I'm going to choose US. You can also use America and then put in the city that is closest to you. But in this case, it's probably better to use a US because then you can just specify Eastern, Central, Mountain, whatever your time zone is that way if you're in the United States. But at any rate, you would select from here. Okay, and what we're going to do is we're going to create a symlink to do this. And I've shown you how to do that before in previous episodes. So we're going to go ln tac S for a symlink and then F to force it. Okay, and then we're going to /user/share/zoneinfo /US/E for Eastern. And we want that as part of Etsy local time. Okay, and then that's done. And now let's set our hardware clock. That is with HWCLOCK. Okay, and then let's do sys to HC. And we want to set that to UTC. Once we've done that, next we need to set a password for root. That's done with password, PASSWD. All right, and then put in your password. All right, and then it'll let you know that you got that done correctly if you typed it in correctly twice. Okay, and then now let's go ahead and set our host name. So that is done with echo again. Okay, and then we'll call this CLI tech friendly. End quote. / and then /Etsy. Or I meant to say right arrow. Why do I keep calling that a slash? That's right arrow /Etsy /hostname. Okay, that is done now. And then we want to be sure that we enable dynamic host configuration protocol. You've seen this before many times, I'm sure. So this is a system control, because we're invoking systemd to do this, enable, which will cause us to run at startup when we boot the computer. Okay, and now we have that dynamic host configuration protocol set up here. Okay, and it's created a symlink for that. Okay, at this point, let me think, what else do we want to do before we move on? I think we're at a point now where we can install grub. So let's pacman tac S to capital S to sync. We're going to put in grub and os-prober. Okay, and then we will proceed with that installation. Okay, this next command you might want to keep in your notes, because if you decide you want to install a different kernel or do a number of other things with your grub configuration, you're going to need to run this command again. So, oh wait, not yet. First, let's install grub, and then I'll show you the important command. Duh! I got ahead of myself there. So we're going to go grub -install /dev/SDA. It's going to say that it's installing for the i386 platform. ignore that. Arch Linux can only be installed on 64-bit machines unless you visit the link they have in the wiki to their i686 fork. If you want to find out more about that, RTFM, wiki.archlinux.org. You know, I've been waiting all day to say that. Okay, just... yeah. Okay. That is read the full manual. Yeah, that's what I meant. Okay. Now, we need to make our grub configuration. So make sure that you have this jotted down somewhere because this is going to be important. You're going to need to run this from time to time. So this is grub -make config -o. That's O, not 0. Like I did on the dry run. /boot /grub /grub.cfg. Okay. Beautiful. All right, now at this point, why don't we go ahead and make our user account? So let's go user add -m, lowercase, -G. If you want to find out what these are, just run man user add. It'll tell you. Okay, and then wheel is the group that we want, not wheel. Okay, and my name. Okay, so user add -m -G wheel, because the wheel group we're going to make sudoor. So anybody in the wheel group will be able to have rights to sudo with this. So let's go ahead and press enter on this. My username has been created. Now we need to make a password for it. Okay, so the password for me is this. Okay, and the password has been updated successfully there. So now we're going to define sudoors. So that's done with nano /etc/sudoors. And we need to make sure that it is spelled correctly. Okay, and then at this point, we need to scroll down because we're going to be looking for the wheel section to comment out. The one we want to comment out is the one that says wheel, right where the cursor is. Matter of fact, let me press Control here and get a cursor here. This is where it is, where it says wheel, all equals all in brackets, all. If you change it to this one underneath, then you don't need a password for that, and that's not very secure. So you do want to make sure that we've got it set for this particular one. Okay, and then we can do Control X, Y, and enter. And that writes that file out. Okay, and then at this point, I think we're ready to reboot. So let's go ahead and exit. Okay, and then reboot. And of course, I still have the image in, but that's no biggie. We can just boot into the existing OS. Okay, and you can see we did it right because now we've got the GNU Grub menu and it's giving us the opportunity to boot into Arch Linux for the first time. Okay, and then we can see our host name is here. We're running Arch Linux 5.0.2. All right, and we're in the first TTY. We're in CLI friendly, SPATRY. And okay, now that I'm logged into the system, let's go ahead and do some things. You're going to notice something. If we're in our home directory right now, print working directory. Okay, we're in home/Spatry. That's where it's always going to put you. Okay, let's ls tac L in long form, and with the A switch, we're going to show what's hidden. Okay, you're going to see here that there really isn't much here. Okay, it's pretty empty. And so let's go ahead and populate our user directories into this before we proceed with installing other packages. And to do this, we can go sudo pacman, tac capital S to sync, and that is xdg tac user tac dirs. Okay, it gives you the usual lecture. Remember, Linux automatically assumes you know what you're doing. Windows thinks their users are idiots. Linux demands proof. Okay, now that that has been done, let's go ahead and run xdg user dirs update. Okay, and now when we run ls tac la, you will see that we now have our standard home directories in here. Okay? So with that out of the way, let's see. What else do we want to do here? Okay, well, why don't we, I know down the line I'm going to want to have 32-bit support. So we're going to need to enable that. And to do that, we can go sudo nano /etc/pacman.conf. Okay, all right, and then let's see what options we have in here. Well, I like color in my terminal, so let's enable color support for that. Also, this one's a shout out for you, Matthew. I know you love this one, so this one's just for you. Capital L. Okay, I love candy, just for Matthew Moore. By the way, it was Matthew's idea to have me show you the XDG user directories. Personally, I just make my own directories, but yeah. All right, so I love candy, and then that's not what we came here for, though. We need to go down here to where it says multilib. Not multilib testing, multilib. Okay, we're going to remove those hashtags from in front of the multilib in brackets and the include. We're going to press Control X, Y, and Enter to save that, and then sudo pacman tac capital S Y Y. You will see that it has accepted my preferences because now there is some color here. You're going to see some blue there. All right, and then Pacman was yellow that was going across here as well. And we can see multilib is now enabled. So we've got that. And then, of course, you know, you can add other repositories. Later on down the line, I might want to add, you know, my cola repository or my mcol repository, because I make packages and I have my own repos on a cup of Linux. So maybe I'll show you that someday. We'll see. Okay, let me think. What else do we want? Okay, there may be times when you're using, you know, the mirrors that come with this. The mirrors sometimes are kind of, you know, wonky. And sometimes you'll see errors, and you really don't want that. So I think this would be a good opportunity now to discuss, for those of you who are used to using Manjaro, you're used to using Pacman mirrors. Well, Pacman mirrors doesn't work in Arch Linux. Instead, they have a script called Reflector. If you want to find out more about Reflector and all of the things that it is capable of, the Arch Wiki is your friend. They have a whole page on it. But I've got a setting here that we're going to go ahead and work with. So why don't we first tell Pacman to sync it. Reflector. Once this is installed, then I'm going to issue a command to it that's going to tell it to give me the 20 newest mirrors in the United States. And, well, here, I'll show you how it works. Okay, I thought it was going to take longer than that. So we're going to go Reflector. And tac country, space, capital US, hyphen latest. Okay, okay, I want the latest 20 mirrors to come in that have been updated. Let's go with the protocol. HTTPS. I forgot my tinfoil hat, but that's okay. Hyphen sort by speed. That is done with rate. And then I want to save it. That we're going to save that to /etc pacman.d hyphen / mirror list. Let me reread through that because that was a longer line and I am a dummy when it comes to typing. I'm so stupid. Come on, put a sudo in front of that. It's awful hot with these studio lights. It's been a long day already. Okay, good. Now that that has been done, we can go sudo pacman tac syy. And look how much quicker that went. Okay, so that's the better option for you there. Okay, later on down the line, I'm probably going to want to have VirtualBox guest editions if I decide I want to do anything in this machine. So, and I'm going to probably want to have a desktop of sorts. So why don't we go ahead and install the necessary dependencies for that. So let's go sudo pacman tac capital S, and let's do f86 tech video besa xorg server xorg tac apps xfce4 tac goodies. And I think that's a nice little spread to get us started. I'm just pressing enter to just say, I love it all. Give it all to me. And this will take a few minutes to complete as well as it's downloading everything, although I have faster mirrors now, so the installation process shouldn't take too long. I'll go ahead and pause the video. I forgot to install something though, because I mean, if we want to be able to boot into a desktop session, we're going to need to have Exonet installed. So why don't we do that? Sudo pacman tac s xorg tac x in it. Okay, and now that that has been installed, now we need to copy this to our home directory. And so we'll do it this way. cp slash /etc slash capital X 11 slash xinit slash xinit rc, and then we're going to put that in home with the tilde / dot xinit rc. Okay, and then we can edit this with nano. All right, and then what I'm going to go ahead and do is I'm just going to go all the way to the bottom of this file, right where it says exec here. See that? It says exec. And I'm going to change this line here to exec xfc for session. Okay. Control X, Y, and then enter. All right, and zip, bada, boom, that is done. All right, let me think, what else do I want to do? Well, why don't we just start X? Okay, and now we are prompted with, what do you want to do? One empty panel, or do you want to use the default config? I prefer the default config because it'll give you, it gives you a decent little menu to work with here. Okay, so now we've got our XFCE desktop and we're ready to configure this however way we want to. Okay, at this point we can open up a terminal. Well, that text is a little bit small. You're not going to be able to see that. So why don't we log out of the session here. But at any rate, you have your XFCE if you want, and you can configure this however you like. I'm going to go ahead and log out of here. We're back into our session here. One thing that I prefer to do is to run an LTS kernel. And I suppose I could have installed this in the beginning. But hey, that's what we have tutorials for, right? So let's go ahead and run a pacman tac capital S. And we're going to run Linux tac LTS. And Linux tac LTS tac headers, because you're probably going to need them in all likelihood if you're going to be building things from the AUR. So it's always a good idea to have the matching headers with your Linux. So let's go ahead and do that. Okay, and we will proceed with the installation there. And once that has completed, we're going to need to run our grubmakeconfig again. So that's sudo grub make config tac O, not 0, slash boot slash grub dot cfg. Okay, and then at this point we can reboot. Boot existing OS. You'll see now it's telling me that we're booting Linux LTS, which is what we want. Okay, and you can see it's saying 419.29, and I prefer the LTS Linux kernel myself. So yeah, if you prefer stability, that's probably the way to go. Okay, and then we can just start X. And then while you're in your new desktop, maybe you might want to install LikeDM or some other display manager that you can type your password into and have a pretty little window. Or some of you guys may want to have a command line prompt. So this is the machine that we're going to be working out of for the future episodes in command line friendly. I figured why not? We'll have a nice little art system to work off of. And so I hope you guys learned a lot from this. If you find these videos to be useful, please consider visiting me at cupoflinux.com and smack that donate button at the top of the page. That helps us to keep the lights on at cupoflinux.com and on distrohunt.org. And we also have, as you've seen throughout the video, we have game nights on Saturday night, plus we also have live chat every night on our Mumble server as well. Just go on cupoflinux.com and you can just get instructions for connecting to us on all those things. It's a lot of fun. We have a nice, friendly community. Yeah, cool stuff. I'm not exactly sure which topic I'm going to be covering next on CLI Friendly, but I'm sure it's going to be something equally cool. So until next time, please be sure to take a little bit of your time and be excellent with somebody today. God bless you all. Peace out.